Hello there, this is Pickerton, and welcome to the second intermediate Lua tutorial. Now first of all I have to apologise for my terrible microphone. I seem to have broken my other one, which was slightly higher quality than this one, and was much louder, and I can't seem to make this any higher. I'll try and amplify it if it's still too quiet once the video goes out, but I apologise for that. This tutorial we are going to be covering some more meta methods, which is what we briefly talked about last tutorial, but first of all I'm going to cover some additional things you can do with logical operators. Now these logical operators in Lua, you already know them. They are and, not, and or. These three operators you can obviously, as we've already known, and you will know this, you can use them for if statements. So if a equals 1 and a is 2, you can use not. So if a is not 1, you type this. Alternatively, you could just type this, but I was just trying to demonstrate not, and not's cooler. Anyway, you can also use or. You can do stuff like this. I imagine my keyboard typing will be very loud as well. I apologise for that. My microphone is really stupid. It seems to be able to pick up bangs much louder than it can pick up my voice. A equals 1 or A equals 2. So you wouldn't ever want to use any of these things. You could do much simpler ways, but these are general things you can do. There are also other things you can do with these other than the big chunks of code which you have to put in those big statements beforehand. When you're setting any kind of variable or using this as a variable name, well, not a variable name, when using it as a value for something, instead of doing something like this, for example, so I've said local A equals 1. If A was 1, I want to set B to 1 as well. If A is 2, I want to set B to 10. Let's do that. So I will go A B equals. Now there's two ways I could do this. The one that we know how to do before is actually very easy, and you'll be thinking, oh, why? This is really obvious how to do this. It's actually just type if A equals 1, and then you can set B to whatever I said. Or I said 1, didn't I? Else, well, this is a bad example. You could do this not other ways. Let's say it's set B to high if A equals 1, and else if A is 2, then set B to. Actually, let's do a simpler version first, or else B equals LOL. There we go. Let's do this. So this is an example. Now you won't be thinking, well, that's very easy, you know, to do this. But there's a much easier way of doing anything like this, which I'm going to explain to you now. It might not be easier, but it's definitely quicker, and it makes it more readable, less lines, less annoying. You can go B. Let's make it a local variable. B equals 1. No, we don't want it to be high. Be 1. What we can now do is use these logical operators to make B what we want it to be. So what we're going to do, A equals 1, and what do you say? High. So what this will do, B equals, it will check whether this one is true. So A equals 1. Yes, it is true because it's here. If this is true, and remember in Lua, it's true if it's not nil or false. Anything that's not nil or false is determined as true. A equals 1 and high. Now this will mean if this is true, then B will be set to this. So whenever A is 1, it will be set to high. If A is not 1, we're going to type or. So if A is not 1, and then we'll set it to LOL, like we're doing now. And now we can print B. I'm going to run this, and I appear to have broken something because this thing was at the beginning of the script. Hooray! Now, we're going to run again. It's going to say hi because A was 1, and I'll just show if I set A to 2, it will now print LOL. Lol. So, once we've done this, I should be zooming in. Here's the script if you haven't seen it already. I'm sorry for not zooming in before. Here is the script. Now, we can do additional things with this, like I was going to do before. So, if I undo what I changed with this script, delete this bit, say if we want to do something similar to an else if. Else if A is 5, for example, then we set it to something that's not. We'll set it to foo, and then we'll go else B equals lol. B equals A equals 1 and high, and we can literally do the same thing again. So now we can go B equals, what was it? A equals 5. A equals 5 and foo. Remember, this is very important that you must use the double equals. These are for comparing. If we just did just 1 equals, then we go B equals A equals 1. Well, we'll set it, that wouldn't work. That would just break. It would produce an error for the output. We need to make sure we use these comparing operators. We need to do 2 equal signs. Of course, you don't have to do the 2 equal signs. We could do a not equal sign. We could do if A is not equal. We could do it like that. We could do bigger than 1. It doesn't have to be. It can be any of these operators. So if A equals 5 and foo. So if A is 1 if A was 1, it would be set to high. If it's not any of those, if A is 5, or any of those, if it's not that, if A is 5, then B will be set to foo. If it's none of those, we'll just put another or, then we'll set it to lol. And then we're going to print B, and we're going to set A to 5. I'm going to comment this out so I don't have to continually undo it and redo it. A is 5, it will print foo, because we've set it here. So these two lines, this bit here and this bit here, are equivalent. These two lines they run exactly the same. So what we're going to do now is just another quick extra thing. You can do just things like set things to true or well. First of all, actually, these don't have to be set to a variable. So if we're putting it as a function, for example, this is any value. It's not a variable. It's a value. Any value. So if we're putting it in here, we're going to print B. We don't even have to set this. We can say print A equals 1 and high, or A equals 5 and foo, or lol. So if A is 6, it will print lol, because it's not 1, not 5. It's going to go to the last or, which is lol. Prints lol, there we go. Did it rewind? Oh, the mouse tool. I thought the mouse tool had stuck because it was loading, because I'm stupid. So we're going to cover one more thing with these logical operators. We've covered and an or briefly with this. We can also use not for something which doesn't have to be not specifically. Definitely doesn't have to be not specifically, but not is probably one of the things you use it for most. What we're actually going to do, so we're setting A to 6. I'm going to delete this now. We can use these conditional operators or logical operators to simply set a variable. So whereas what we're doing then, A equals 5 and 3. So if A was 5, it would be set to 3. However, we can just do this. If we set A equals 5, it will literally just set to this. So this statement here, you may already know this. This may have been obvious to you from when I previously explained it. Whenever we use a conditional operator, it basically returns this value. Conditional operators return the value which I'm trying to. It's like any normal function. They return a value. Operators also return a value. So A equals 5. If A is 5, so this, then this thing will return true. Now it will return false. So now if I just print B after here, then A will be A is 5 and B will be true. It's going to print true because A equals 5, print A double equals 5. Double equals is comparing operator, and so if A equals 5, then B will be set to true. We can do this with any operator whatsoever. A double equals 5 and C is anything but 10. So if C is 10, False, because C is 10, and we have to we're checking, make sure it's not 10. We can do, or we can also do one extra thing with this kind of syntax. There's many things you can use them for, but we're just going to go A equals true, B equals not A. False, because A is true, not A must be false. So now we're going to go back on to the meta methods, which are infinitely more interesting, but not as nearly useful in most situations. We're going to go back to here. We're going to just explore some different kinds of meta methods. We're going to the first new meta method. There's plenty of meta methods to it that we can actually do. I've got a list of them on the screen in case I miss them out. I'm not going to type them all. There's add, sub. Well, add is the plus operation, which is basically whenever you add something, this will fire. Sub, subtraction. Mul, mul, it's multiplication. Div, which is division. Modulus, which is mod, which is the modulus operating. Pow, which is the exponential operation, which is something to the power of something, which is 10 to the power of 2. That means, or 10 squared. There's unm, which I'm not going to go into now. Concat, which is a concatenation operation, which is when you're trying to put two strings together, like hi, that's concatenation. Len, which is when you try and get the length of something, so you can get the length of a string with this, which is this operator, or you can get the length of a table with that. Eq, which is the equals operator, which is comparing something, which is a double equals operator. LT, which stands for less than, which is just the less than operator. LE, which is the less than or equal to. Index, we've already done. New index, which we've already done. And call, called when Lua calls a value. And a call is what I'm going to explain to you now. So, let's do dot call. Let's say we're going to go. Actually, I can't remember what actual arguments these have. Let's go and look them up for a second. Oh yes, these should have been fairly obvious actually. I haven't actually explained this, so I will do now, I suppose. Yes. The ... means you can have unlimited arguments. Now, if you're using this call, and then yes, you can obviously need to have unlimited arguments, because I will explain why later. So you can actually, I won't go into too much detail of these. You can look these up yourself, or I might explain it another time. Actually, I will. So with these triple dot with the ellipses operator, let's go back into this other script. I'll just show you this. Zoom in a bit. I'm going to function foo ... and inside this function, we're going to start. Let's say we're going to print arg end. I'll explain this now. The dot 3 dots. Whenever you call a function, whenever you create a function with ... that means there's a variable amount of arguments. I mean, you can have any number of arguments you want. I can call this foo with. I can call this foo with 1. I can call this with as many as I like or as few as I like, and it will still work. What happens now is this ... is collected and stored in a table, and that table is stored as a hidden parameter named arg, which is this. So the function will now be able to access it with arg. Arg has a extra field in it, which is called n. So if I printed arg.n, and have the number of arguments collected. So let's print arg first of all. Foo 1111111. Hi. It's now printed. I've broken something. What did I break? So, apparently, even after consulting the old Lua handbook, The older handbook I'm doing it correctly, but this one I'm not, so I've changed the code slightly. In the new Lua 5.2, which I didn't even realise Roblox was using, but apparently it is. Stupid people on Skype. Anyway, there's going to be a... This will now print out the entire argument list of this. So if I print here, hi, space, lol. So we can even say we can replace the print function with that. We can do anything we like. We could go through the script. I'm sure it must save it to some kind of table somewhere. I can't actually find out how. It seems to have changed since the last time I used it. But nevertheless, this is how you do it. And I'm going to cover this call meta method. So this call has as many arguments as you want. I'm going to go into this function. And inside this function, let's just say print. Exactly the same as that function up there. Make sure I add the extra dots. That would help. And let's just delete that. Or I could do that because the robot is stupid, doesn't delete that. Go here. Now printing ... After we've set the meta table, I should be able to literally set the table to T to the meta table. The meta table will now have this meta method in it. So now if I try and call, which means use it as a function, so table like that, and then this, it's now going to print table something or other, hi. Now the reason this prints a table something or other first, as you may be able to guess, is because the first argument is always the table which I'm calling this on, so I have to tab and then this. If I'm calling this function, the first argument with a meta table will always be the table, so in this case it's going to be T. T is going to be the table which I'm calling this function from, so I'm going to go run. It's going to just print hi. So this is how you can use these cool functions. So you can make a table, have function be a function, and also have variables in them. So if I had a high lol value, I could set the table's high, set table's high and table's lol, and I could call a function. So you can make a table do so many things. Tables are so powerful tools in Lua that you can really do a lot. And one more method I'm going to go through is going to be the add meta method. So once I've covered the add meta method, you'll know how to use all the different Lua meta methods. And so this one's going to meta table add equals function. Now let's see if I can remember arguments. I don't have to remember them. They'll have a table obviously, and then it will have. Yes, I was right the first time. It's a, or whatever the two values you're adding together. So let's just do this, bloody blah. And now we can have, let's say, what do you want to return? We can print, you tried to add A and B together. Let's have that. And now we're going to go. What shall we try? We're going to go. What shall we do? No, sorry. What am I doing? No, there's no. Sorry about that. There's no table argument in the add function, and that's because you need to have that you're going to be adding together the two tables. So this means you're trying to add a table to a table. So let's have metatable plus metatable, not metatable, sorry. T plus T. It's a random thing equals T plus T. So obviously we can't normally add tables together, but with meta methods you can also do something wrong, like I've just done. Name expected near together. 2 dots. Attempt to concatenate B a table value. Puh. This is what I was talking about. I'm trying to add together two tables. Now this function runs, except I'm trying to print a table, which obviously I can't do. You try to add two tables together. Now I would be able to do that if I just used a comma and then did A and a comma and then a B, because that's separate arguments. However, you can't use this operator with tables, unless, of course, you use the concat meta method. But I'm not going to go into that one. That runs exactly the same as this one. You can do anything you like with tables at all. I've already done something wrong again, because this is what I do during scripting tutorials. What's it saying now? For some reason I've forgotten to delete that. We're going to press play now, and now it's going to work. You try to add two tables together because we tried to add the things. And so, random thing afterwards, if we print random thing, which will print, it's going to print nil. Oops, forgot to rewind. And that's it for this scripting tutorial. Sorry there's no scripting showcase at the moment, and I again apologise for my microphone. In the next tutorial I'm going to be covering the basics of object-oriented programming and seeing how you can do that sort of thing in Lua. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like or dislike this video, and goodbye.